in John, in Calipari's second year, as the coach, he brought in DeWine Wagner, but even that year he missed the NCAA tournament. But he didn't lose his job. But it takes time to start building. And now let's face it, I think Penny's going to do a great job recruiting in perpetuity. But the problem is that Calipari was such a darling of the media and ESPN. He was always being struck. Well, people saw this. And so when he goes in their homes, it's easier for him, to close the deal than it is for others, because of his being lobbied by the media.
Like I said, these people didn't know anything about basketball.
Well, I agree. Some of them don't know the depth of it like you do. I mean, you do. You dissect it very well. And you put us all in it.
What they have to do, look what Calipari did to all his friends. Look what Coach K did to all his friends. Absolutely nothing. They should have known there. They weren't going to win anything.
Who are you talking about?
Calipari and Coach K, they got next time they didn't win anything, so why do you think that Highway was going to win?
Well, no, all they were doing was expressing, maybe, this pipe dream, this pie in the sky thing, but they still believed, and you do that sometimes. If you have a horse, a thoroughbred, this horse is great, and you look at it, and everybody comes by and visits, and watching times it and everything, gets in the race, can't run, what you talking about. So, you really never know until the things happen in real time.
Yeah. That's all I hear when you get this food say, we're going to Final Four, we're going to win the national championship.
Yeah.
But these some clowns, they look at the clowns.
Yeah.
But now they ain't saying a word, now they quiet. They're making up lies and excuses. We hurt. They're young, they're inexperienced.
Yeah.
They got to learn. Should know that in the beginning.
What's going to happen here? We're in a critical time. I think there's about 8 games left. We got a tough one this Thursday against the Bearcats.
They're going to lose the system, man. They're going to beat our brains out. They might lose Thursday to UConn.
Yeah, but what's encouraging is UConn. Who beat them last week?
Somebody beat UConn last week.
Yeah, I can't remember.
State.
Yeah, that's right. Well, it should be good enough to beat them.
They ain't going to NCAA tournament. They ain't going to NCAA tournament this year. All that talent. Southern had a team, but he had no talent. Y'all got talent now, still can't go.
They had Jeremiah Martin.
So he went on top 5 recruit. He went on top 4 recruit.
No, he got better. He got better. But here's the thing. It took
top 5 recruits, top 4 recruits on that team.
Remember this, too. Calipari started because, like I said, of who he was and his stature in the basketball community. He kept bringing in talent. Remember, he started with Darius Washington. He got Chris Douglas Roberts, and then he eventually got Derrick Rose. So, he just kept going in a positive direction. That's going to happen. It could happen with Penny. Penny has that.
It can happen with, but right now, they got to learn. They're young ball player.
Of course he is. And he's a young NCAA Division I coach. This isn't East High School.
Don't be a Tony and Junior there. They want me. They want Trevor Smith out.
Already, and that's football.
They want Trevor Smith out.
Oh, Tubby Smith. I thought you were talking about the head coach of the football, the Silverfield.
They want Trevor Smith out.
That's what I said. I misunderstood you big time.
Yeah, they want Holloway in now. So what's the difference? Still ain't going to the state tournament.
Mm-hmm.
But you got more talent. So they ever had.
Well, like I said, they worked for a team that was based around James Wiseman. And then they had to shut that program down because he left the program and start up with another.
You saying one field make the whole team?
Almost. Think about it. All this pressure wouldn't be on Prince if this, if he wouldn't be getting banged up and he's hurt. I don't even know if he's going to play Thursday.
That's right. He was top 5 recruit, right, Chris?
Oh, he's up there. He was pretty high. Yes, sir. He's up there.
He was top 4 recruit, right?
I can't say that emphatically because I don't know.
You got luck for top 4 recruit.
Well, and Jeffries is out with a busted wheel, and you just got some.
You still got more talent than Tubby ever had.
It's going to work. It's going to work. He's just playing against better talent than Tubby did last year.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, got you. I got you.
This year, man. You got this year. He ain't playing no more time than Tubby had.
Watch this, Bill.
That's not true.
Bill, you think Memphis could actually, shock the world and actually go out and win the AAC tournament, even if they don't have the best record? You don't see them. You don't think they can actually win the AAC tournament and make it to the big dance?
They're not capable in the 4 games.
Let me tell you. Let me just give me just Mel, give me a second here, okay? I'm gonna tell you right now. The coaching he needs to shore up his coaching. He's got to relax these players and let them play basketball. I see too much of his predecessor, and his predecessor 2 times removed. When Josh Pastner was coaching these fellas, these guys didn't know when to shoot. They were so conditioned for fundamental basketball that they couldn't relax and be themselves like they're in the park somewhere. He had, like we talked about the last time, he had 4 of the best shooters in the nation, and he couldn't do it. Those guys were canceling each other out. It was crazy.
I think that shooter on the team right now. He's a famous shooter.
That's what I'm saying. They've got to relax, play their game, and not be so stuck to the execution. If it breaks down, just play basketball. They're not relaxed enough. The pressure is on these kids, and these kids are fighting for their future as well. They know that if they don't show up,
these kids, they got no pressure on them.
They have pressure because they want to be.
Pressure whatsoever. They ain't paying no bills or anything.
I don't mean that, but
they got no pressure whatsoever.
They're showing their wares as we speak. If they do not play as well as they know they can, it's going to be. That's why some players end up leaving a system because it's not conducive to their style of play. It's always the coach's style of play.
I really like run and gun. He feel like a run and gun. It's pitching against players.
You talk about his players. You talk about the Tigers. You say the Tigers are? Well, they just need to relax and let it flow. Play basketball. They're worried about missing. They're worried about stats. They're worried about all kinds of stuff.
They told you that, Bill. Who told you that?
I'm just telling you from my gut, from just knowing basketball, that these kids have been told you've got to reach a certain level or they'll take their eyes off of you. And sometimes they overpress. And
what they said at the beginning of the year, they said they all work together. They said you got to sacrifice.
Well, look.
They did all the 7 all year long.
Well, yeah, but they haven't played a game yet. It's easy. It's easy to talk. Sir?
They've been playing together since last August.
I'm talking about playing competition, competitive teams. Talk is cheap. You remember Coach Bernie Sales used to tell me this, talk is cheap. It takes money to buy land. They may be great in the gym. You got gym players and then you got basketball players.
So what I tell you people, that's not make these players, I mean they good.
Yeah.
That's the problem with the beginning.
And a lot of the problem is between their ears because they know that they've got to deliver. This isn't he laugh after a miss or something in a basketball practice. We're talking about this counts. Can they handle it mentally?
And one thing I'd like to chime in on is, like, you got a bunch of players. Now, all of these players are highly talented, just about, okay? Now, they go from being the number 1 guy on their high school team to being, maybe the number 3, number 4 guy because there's 3 other guys that are number 1 guys on their high school team.
They knew that when they signed. They knew that. They maybe don't want it.
There's a learning curve there.
Right. But a lot of them want to play for a certain coach. Their parents influences them as much as possible. And then when you bring a guy in who's going to be a future NBA number 1 lottery pick and you're looking forward to playing with him and then he quits the team, what does that say for, it's an emotional dysfunction that's also going over there. These kids, they're still as talented as when they came on, and they can play better. They just not relaxed. There's too much going on the periphery and outside the game. Then they can relax and play the game like they practice. I'm just telling you, you have your opinion. I have mine. That's what I feel.
Ain't nothing going on with these players.
Well,
all thing they doing is going to class, sleeping in the dorm, eating food. That's all they doing. Ain't no pressure on them whatsoever.
I'm talking about pressure of showing up so that what? So that they can, make it to the next level.
They got plenty of time for that. There ain't no pressure.
All right, I'm just suggesting these are some things that you have to consider. I've considered it. So they press. You know, when you and I played in the NBA, I remember I could get on you and I was inside your jersey and you couldn't make a shot. And the same thing when you were guarding me, you did, well, I made mine. But you know what I'm saying? These kids might not be able to handle that mentally.
That's all they like.
I'm just funny. I'm funny with you, big guy.
They can handle it.
All right, you better let me go. But I've enjoyed the conversation. You're going to be surprised. You're going to be surprised when they beat the Bearcat in Louisville. I mean, it's in Cincinnati. Excuse me. Well, this is what they do. They talk before it happens, and they come back and, like you said, eat crow. But I'm still. What do you?
More than crow. There's some other stuff.
Oh man, don't be so down on them. Who are they going to pull for? Hey, they don't like Tulsa. They don't like these other schools. They like Memphis. We're Memphis fans.
I'm going to tell you last year. What y'all get that horses in? Well, you got your horses.
Well, he's going to get more horses. Come on. Well, you know, everybody has an opinion. And yours would have, you'd have found something if we'd had LeBron James type of players. I mean, Mel, let's face it. You would have found some chink in their armor. Somehow, somewhere. Well, you're right.
Not very good.
Yeah, the season's only half over now. They're going to kick it in now. Oh, watch out now. Because you know what? Because Coach Hardaway is going to wear a jersey one of these nights. He's going to slip off that suit and go retro. All right, let me get out of here. I got to go. You're the best, Mel. I don't care about him. That's fine. I mean, I care about him as in a person, but you know, that's fine. They don't have to. Yeah.
Number one in the country. Because ain't too no balls for every week. Well, you got all these still team now. You still ain't winning.
Yeah, they should have gone and recruited him from West.
You know, good.
Thanks, Mel. Good old Mel. All right, our number's 452-3094. Yeah, I'm not like those little rookies over there at some of these other sports stations that won't let you stay on but about 2 minutes, and if you disagree with them, they'll cut you off.
Mel, he gets some hell, don't he?
The Mel didn't play. He quit school because they had recess. I mean, that's what I heard, so I don't know.
Hey, it's ruthless.
I used to do lunch. I was good at lunch. You know, lunch was good. I thought they had the best bread. When they cooked it, you knew about the third period. You're walking around, you're smelling that on campus, and you're going, man, I couldn't concentrate on anything except maybe the Food Network. However, they didn't have the Food Network back then. Hey, they didn't even have color television back then. Well, maybe a little bit, but not all the programs. Besides, the Twilight Zone wouldn't have been any fun in color anyway. It was dark and sinister. It was. Yeah, that's it. You got. Where did you learn that? You've been watching those channels. Yeah. I tell you, I like Bonanza ran the longest of all of them. Well, still makes sense. I know. It's dun 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 dun. Yeah, that's hard to do a little quiz, a little trivia on. I'll hum the song, and if you guess it, you know, that'd be fun. That would be fun. All right, switching a little back, but we'll get back to the Tigers. A big game coming up, so, and then I think we got someone after that, and then I think UConn, and after that, I can't remember, but you know, next. So you got Thursday's game, you got a Saturday game, and then you come back and play on Tuesday. Isn't that right, Georgia? Is that right? Georgia, I'm talking to you. You're looking at me.
Answering Georgia.
I want to know. Okay? Can you say it?
She said, I'm not talking to you, so you give me that name.
Why does she appease you when she comes here, and all the other times she's doing fine with me? Ooh, say, I love you, Daddy. See, and then she puts her hand on Paul like that. I try to tell her not to talk. She's got a big mouth. but she doesn't do too much barking. But when she does, yeah. All right, so my question is, can Hardaway keep bringing talent to Memphis? I wondered, that was one of the things I was talking. Give him some time. This is only his second year. Yeah, and it was supposed to be. He had a team there, a lot he was familiar with, but there's so many other variables in college basketball, Division I. I mean, it's just amazing he's done as well as he has.
I'll tell you, as long as his shoe is selling, he's going to bring talent to the city. It's as simple as that.
There is a connection there, exactly. And who he is, he's a good guy. He's one of these guys it's tough.
I mean, he's a local hero. I mean, he's like the modern day, like Elvis was, this back in the 50s and 60s.
Right, in his genre, you're exactly right. He's the guy. I mean, I had a T-shirt on yesterday that had the best players in Memphis ever. And of course, he was on that list. He, Sox, Keith Lee, who was some of the others, I don't remember now. Of course, probably Ronnie Robinson. Some of those, if Larry Finch, sorry. I don't know how I could just, he was on there.
David Vaughn.
David Vaughn wasn't good enough to be on there. No, he wasn't. He played because Penny helped him get in the NBA, and then that was great. I mean, he got him a nice signing thing, whatever they do. But he didn't last.
He said whatever they
give him a little bit. Just for coming on board. But then you have to know. He was good, but you can be good when you got someone that can play in and out. Like Penny Hardaway was amazing. He could take it to the glass when he wanted to. He could raise up. He was just an all-around great and super defensive player. He was going to be the next Michael Jordan, but his knees, and of course his competitors came in too. Grant Hill, the great player who played for Duke, and who were some of the others that kind of came in, and there was another one too. No. I'm talking about that played kind of like in his position, had that Michael Jordan, kind of ability.
Allen Iverson was in this school.
Yeah, but I'm talking about someone who's a small and big guard, small forward, kind of thing. So, no, I mean, Allen Iverson was great, but I would compare him because of the position. The position. And Mel said, does one man make a difference? Every time LeBron James goes somewhere, he wins. They're winning out west, and they couldn't throw it in the ocean last year.
They couldn't hit the wrong side of the barn.
With a bass fiddle. Seriously, they just couldn't do it. And I'm going to switch over and talk a little bit about, that loss to South Florida. That was a terrible loss because some games are just more threatening to the outcome down, into the season, and that loss to the Bulls is kind of keeping the Tigers outside of the NCAA tourney bracket. You see what I mean? I mean, they're shoo-in for the NIT, so they've got to really focus, not to the point that you leave your ability out there and you're better than how you perform. That's what aggravated me about Pastner. He was so analytical that the players would come off the asphalt, got all that talent, and he shuts it down because it has to run the play according to, And then everybody remember the four guards, and he still had Nichols, and he had Shaq in the low post. They were both very good players, and they would be open. And the guard said, "No, I read my name in the paper, and we're supposed to shoot. We're supposed to do the shooting." Well, then it got to a point where, all right, the defense would come out on them, so they'd pass to the other guard. But early in the setup, when they come across the division line, they would go to setup. I would see Austin Nichols get in a position, and Jeff and I talked about this every day. We're watching the game and talking to each other on the phone when in the end of the day, and I would see a perfect low, Nichols would be kind of like his back was not fully perpendicular to the glass, but the ball. I mean, you have to hit it right then if you back it up because he's got position on on the guy that's defending him, and he's on a 6'9" frame. All he had to do was take the ball and raise up, or he could back up and do that little sweet shot that he had, a la Hakeem Olajuwon. The thing is the guards would pull back, and I was like, "What are you doing? If that's not a set play, you should have used it anyway." They bring it back out, and then what are they doing? They went, wait a minute, I don't want to shoot this because if I miss, then I'm going to be, head games. That's what was going on with that team. And then when they raise up, they have to beat the clock. Talking about pressure, just take what's available when you get it and take advantage of the high percentage opportunity. But these things, they just left on they left out. If some of the games they could have won easily. So it was just frustrating, just terribly frustrating. And it was a bad deal too with some momentum going. I think Shaq left, not Shaquille O'Neal. What was Shaq's sport? What was his name? Goodwin, yeah, Shaq Goodwin. And then you had Austin Nichols, and they owned it, Ella. I mean, they owned it. They didn't take advantage of it. But then Shaq would take it, and he loved it. He was a good athlete. He would dribble all the way down the other end, but he was going in so strong, the ball would come off the rim at the back of the backboard somewhere. He couldn't. You got to finesse around that glass, and it would come off too strong, too hard. Does that make sense, y'all out there? Let me see a show of hands. All right, thank you so much, guys. Most of you understand where I'm coming from because you know basketball. Unlike Mel, who doesn't know basketball. I'm just kidding, Mel. All right, so so anyway, that was a bad loss. It was a close game, So when you check out the bracketology, however you pronounce it, I want to see him in there, and they would have been in there if Wiseman hadn't left the team. I'm blaming him. He could have saved with his teammates. Why would he do that? He's not going to change. So what? He worked hard with these guys. He came here. He thought that all this money he's going to make, he will make it anyway. And he'd have made a lot more if he stayed and played. Now we scratch our heads. Is he as good as he? Because they got to play the game to prove who you are, how you handle a real-time situation. You know what I'm talking about. You got gym rats, and then you got guys like I mentioned earlier who just go out and you really look good in the gym, but you can't close it in a game, especially a tournament game. I mean, it makes me sick. See there and have a finger roll and still miss it.
I mean, these are teams. I don't know what it is, but
they're just not good basketball players anymore. They're not like the others because the fundamentals are out. They want to see flash. They want to see all that kind of activity, and then they just embarrass themselves because
Kentucky and Ohio State.
Yeah.
I think there was one point in that game that wasn't it, I think the first half, both schools, I mean, they wide open layups, just finger roll it right off the rim. I'm like, what's going on? Ohio State went on to win the game, but it was
it Kentucky who missed them or both
teams? I mean, and these are like supposedly two of the best teams in the country. So.
Well, but even the other guys are going to bone up just so that they can, have a good showing against these stars. It ups their resume. So a lot of times they can do it in the gym. It doesn't matter so much. But in a game, these other players just play harder. Put me in, coach. Put me in. I can do it. I can guard him. Everybody wants to be a hero. People want their name in the paper. What paper? They don't even have paper anymore. Everything's on the internet. Just a metaphor. All right, teammates, we're going to take a break here at the bottom of the hour and then some. We appreciate our sponsors. We've got good sponsors. Please listen and go out and patronize these. Or is it patronize? I don't know which word is so close together. Do both of them. And because we appreciate the local dollars and we appreciate them sponsoring our show. All right, we'll be back after the sports call. Time out. Close the door. Whoa, give you a little baby, I got so much love. She left me on, man. I could Katie Pendergrass now. And I want to give it all. No. Too late. Close the door. No need to worry no more. Let's bring this day to a pleasant end. Girl, it's me and you. I've waited all day long just to hold you in my arms. And it's exactly like I thought it would be. Me loving you and you loving me. Oh, the door. Let me rub your back and say so. Come on, get closer and closer. There are plenty of places in Memphis where you can enjoy live music, but if you want to enjoy music in a perfect throwback atmosphere, you can't beat the Underground Lounge downstairs from 3rd and Court. Everything about the Underground Lounge is designed to make you feel like you're in a classic nightclub. Live music, signature original cocktails you can't find anywhere else, and a vibe that makes you feel like you're back in the days when class and fun went hand in hand. Come downtown and visit the Underground Lounge downstairs from 3rd and Court for a swinging good time. Functional Independence is an accredited organization providing quality care throughout Shelby, Tipton, and Fayette counties. When your loved one is seeking compassionate, skilled care and a holistic approach to healing, the caring staff of Functional Independence Home Care is at your service 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. A nurse, physical therapist, certified nursing assistant, and even a social worker are at your fingertips. Large enough to service the Mid-South, small enough to provide dedicated patient care. Functional Independence Home Care. Caring is our business. I was just looking at Central Barbecue's website, eatcbq.com, and in their catering section it says that there is no maximum amount of people that they can serve at an event. So, somebody should test this. Test what? They say they can literally cater any amount of people. Yeah, I'm sure they can. Central Barbecue's catering is a machine. I've used them dozens of times. But have you ever tried to use them for a really big event? Yes. No, I mean a really big event. Like what? I'm thinking some fat cat witch guy should feed an entire Grizzlies game Central Barbecue. Fat cat? Did you just come in from the 1920s? I'm just saying somebody should really put Central Barbecue to the test. You do realize you work for Central Barbecue. That's out on the air. Germantown Hardware is located in the heart of Germantown on the corner of Germantown Road and Poplar Avenue. They offer a wide variety of services to meet your every need. They have the Lawn and Garden Center. They have small engine repairs. Custom computer paint match center. They also have the custom lock services, screen and glass repair, lamp repair, and other household repairs. In a word, they're a real hardware store. They offer major brands like the Yeti coolers. They don't get any better than that. They also have Benjamin paint. They have steel, Echoes, Weber grills. They just got everything all the way to the Honda engines. You got to go by and visit a real hardware store, and that is the Germantown Hardware Store and Bank. Like I said, located in Germantown at the Germantown Road and Poplar Crossing. Are you overwhelmed by too many choices, too many decisions, and not enough personal attention? Sleep Cheap is here to help. Sleep Cheap has the queen size pillow set for only $199. Twin size starting at $59. Other queen size is only $99, and a king size as low as $199. No credit check. Everyone's approved. With express delivery and fresh trucks arriving daily, it really is the best time of the year to save big during Sleep Cheap. Get your new mattress event going on now.
I'm Michael Chang. You're listening to Sportscall with Bill, where you don't have to play a sport to be a sport. I got this feeling inside my bones. It goes electric, baby, when I turn it on. Off from my city, off from my home. We're flying up no ceiling when we in our zone. I got that sunshine in my pocket, got that good soul in my feet. I feel that hot blood in my body when it drops. Ooh, I can't take my eyes off of it, moving so phenomenally. You're more like the way we rock it, so don't stop.
All right, thank you, Justin. That's got a good little. It makes you want to dance, you know. Break dance. I don't know about that.
We're live on YouTube now, so
We are. Hey, you folks, how are you?
usually Bill's dancing during the commercial. Now that he's on YouTube,
I can't do it.
he don't want to go.
I'm shy. I'm just shy. That's all. All right, so we got a critical game. We think it's going to be critical that the Blazers, they're going to be playing the Grizzlies. This is kind of a playoff quest, actually. The playoff race reaches a new level at the FedEx Forum tonight as the Grizzlies have their first meeting of the season against the Portland Trailblazers, the team that has emerged as their biggest threat. Now, people say, one person. When that game's over, I'll guarantee you that, what's his name, oh gosh, it was on the tip of my tongue. You know, their best player. Oh, I'm sorry, folks. I'll do better. Huh? No. Let's say.
They make so many moves and stuff.
Right, exactly. I'm gonna tell you one thing though. You got to tip your hat to Zach Klayman. He's the he's the general manager of the or the executive. I don't know. There's so many executives for this, and this for the Grizzlies, and why he's popular right now because of these trades we met. Doing the deadline deals and things. So it's kind of he is the he's the Grizzlies' lead basketball executive. Zach Klayman talked about last week's trade deadlines and deals, and new forward Justin Winslow, and Memphis' future, and a lot more. So that was Chris Harrington of the Memphis Daily had an article on that, and it's pretty good. You ought to get a chance, you ought to read it. They do a pretty good job. So does Jeff Calkins. He did a really good job on the what I thought. I guess when you're reading it, you can either disagree or agree. I wasn't as adamant about finding things not to agree with as my old co-host Jeff. Jeff would he'd find things, and I think it was more personal than it was business. So, but. He did a write-up called Bad Energy in the Memphis program. And he says, let's say you're Precious Aquach. How do you say his last name, Mr. Producer? I need to know it. The big guy, Precious, Achiuwa. That has to be it. I mean, it looks worse than it probably, how to say it, but you know who I'm talking about. So your lower back hurts. You took a bad spill at the end of the last game. You're being asked to play a position, center, you didn't sign up to play. You look at the NBA mock draft, and they all have you going in the first round. Most have you going in the lottery. That's how, and that's what he was talking about. These guys that come in with all these accolades, and it's a whole new level, like you said earlier. You may be number one, and you're the number one fish in your pond, but that pond has gotten bigger and bigger fish when you go to the next level. The situation in Memphis isn't anything, like you expected. The team is a long shot to make the NCAA tournament. DJ Jeffries is out with a knee injury. James Wiseman, the guy who helped recruit you to Memphis, abandoned the team weeks ago. So what do? Do you subject yourself to more pounding and what is likely a fruitless quest to make the tournament? Or do you listen to the voices? There are always voices telling you to shut it down. I never thought about things like that when I played, or even those that played that I knew of, that they just went out there and did their due diligence. I mean, that's what you're supposed to do. All this other stuff is just too many voices in your head. And with social media, I mean, my word, can you imagine all this advice from people, like Mel said, that don't know anything, really?
Yeah.
You're talking about a kid's future here. You're talking about, but if they just do what they're there for, that didn't make a lot of difference. To be clear, he says, I'm not suggesting Precious, I'm going to use his first name, he said, but how come it is anywhere close to shutting it down? At this point, if he misses Thursday's game, tomorrow's game against Cincinnati, it doesn't mean that he's done for the year. But these are the kinds of challenges facing Memphis, Coach Penny Hardaway, in this season of discontent. These are the kind of challenges he'll have to surmount if he wants to have a long and successful tenure as the Memphis basketball coach. And yes, it's reasonable to be concerned about his tenure. He wrote something a few weeks ago. He says, not because the guy is in danger of getting fired, that's ridiculous, and not because he should be blamed for what has gone wrong this year. It says anyone who tries to pin this year on Hardaway is just being stupid. The season was lost when Wiseman quit and Jeffries injured his knee.
And you see that, where's the mentality of next man up? You know what I'm saying? That's what's the.
Well, I think Precious has done a good job trying to fill in.
Yeah, I think he
wouldn't have been nice if we'd had both those towers down low.
It would be nice, but you don't have that, so that means next man up.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like, okay, go out east, Knoxville. Everything is just crumbled on Tennessee this year. I mean, completely. They lost their starting point guard, senior.
I won, folks.
No leader.
Excuse me, hold that thought. I won. I just want y'all to know I won. I said that Tennessee would be mentioned by Shane before 4 o'clock, and it's 10 minutes to 4. I get the big bucks. So I'm going to Ruth Chris for dinner. All right, continue.
But anyways, Tennessee needs to be mentioned.
One way or the other.
The state of Tennessee, after all. So,
all of a sudden you're a patriot.
But the thing is the way they're 14-10. Okay, they're a middle of the pack SEC team.
Yeah.
Memphis, they're right in the same boat just about. They're about the middle of the pack AAC team. And I see a lot of the same thing going on in Knoxville as I see here. They lose their star players, whatever, and then they go out and they make moves and get, another point guard, Santiago Muskogee, and then finally they get their 7-footer. Turns out, dude can't hit the broadside of a barn. So, I mean, things are just,
That's what I said. You got gym players who look like basketball players, but they can't play at that level.
But
all right, so let me finish up, because Tennessee is another school.
The Tennessee fans they're looking at it a total different way than the Memphis fans.
Okay.
Memphis fans are expecting him to go out. You know, it's the next man up, sure, but you know,
Really?
yeah,
Okay.
it really is. It's the
All right.
next man up. So
I, well, that's what they're doing.
accept what you got and support.
What do you mean support? Who's supporting? They're not supporting? Who's not supporting?
You're not.
Well, you know, we're talking about people who call up because they listen to radio and they have their own opinions, and then they, you know, it depends on what the radio host feels also. So they're either in compliance with the caller and they continue to, you know, because they have the microphone, they can build it up to make it look like that's what it is. It's not. It's not what it is. There's a lot of good people that's not doing all this stuff, so we hear it. Yeah, I don't want to compare it to politics, but if you think about it, it does. And it just shows you that the press is giving, you know, all this negative stuff, jargon, scenarios and things because that's the way the host feels about it. Usually, and if you don't agree with them, they'll just shut you down. They've got the mic. They have the power.
I mean, what I'm saying about Memphis is Penny's the young coach. This is the second full season as a college basketball coach coming straight out of high school. Okay, things are only going to get better. You know, so I mean, to be honest, I think they're in a whole heck of a lot better shape than they were when Tubby Smith was here. So,
oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, when you lose by a basket or 2 points, 3 points, something like that, that was a good game. It could have gone either way. That doesn't negate their talent. These other guys are out there who've probably been playing longer together. So yeah, this is new. The people are excited about it. And why not shoot to the moon? I mean, you know, that's what I would do. Everybody's thinking, you know, this could be. We have a coach. We have players in place. They still have to mesh together. It takes time, and it'll come around, like you said. But you know, they're too busy criticizing.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But as someone who lobbied for Penny Hardaway to be hired, and who believes Memphians owe Hardaway a debt of gratitude for the work he has already done in bringing the program back to life, he says, I'm keenly aware that the next few months could determine whether the guy has a successful run, at Memphis. It's not about making or not making the NCAA tournament either. That should be way down the list of concern. You see, everybody wants it now. It's that instantaneous mentality. You know, even the fast foods are not fast anymore. And you go in, you wait a minute, isn't this fast food? No.
You remember a few years back that Tennessee team that fans were giving Kunzo Martin. You know, they were just
down the road. He makes it through the tournament, and he goes all the way to the round of 16. Yeah, I know all about that.
You never know. A couple of teams can lose, and you're not supposed to be in the tournament. Then you make it, and then you're 12 seed, and then all of a sudden you're making a run to the Sweet.
What Martin did too was cool in that his stock went up. Okay, all of a sudden California, one of those schools out here, wanted him.
Yeah,
and they took, and you know what? He was going to get fired, and he knew it. Anyway, he was going to go. I mean, he grabbed this. He grabbed the money because it was a greater offer.
Actually, they were going to give him an
extension.
Tennessee was.
Yeah, they say that now.
Fans all started loving him after that. Yeah, but it was by then it was too late. You know, that's what I'm saying.
But he didn't do so well out there. He's not even there anymore. So I don't know.
He's in Missouri now. But the thing is, you know, by then it was too late. The fans had done sour.
I know what you mean.
His aspects of the University of Tennessee. Don't do that. That's what I'm saying. Don't lose something good.
It's really hard to put the toothpaste back in the tube.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm an analogy guy, you know. So, but it does make sense. All right, so like I said, this is not a test for Penny as a basketball coach. It's a test for Penny as a college basketball CEO. That's bigger. That's all that stuff out there. And people want to be the general manager and the coach. I don't know what Jeff actually meant, that, except he has probably a lot of power. If he wants something, I'm sure he can get it, within reason. Can he continue to recruit at a high level in this environment? That's a question we'll have to wait and see. Can he retain Mike Miller, who has been instrumental in recruiting beyond his years? See, the thing is, Mike was a heck of a basketball player, and he played with some serious talent. I didn't even know there was a connection with Mike and Penny. I think that was great that we got him in, because he's the personification of what these players want. They want to go to the pros. And here's a guy who's played and won NBA titles and played with LeBron James, who's the hottest basketball player, in the market. So I would think he'd have some influence. Would you, Mr. Producer? So, and can he keep the players engaged in this in the current season we're in? Can he? That's still a question that's out there. But I think this is kind of a watershed moment Thursday night in Cincinnati. I'd like to see if he wins that game. You got to be positive the rest of the season, no matter what, because he wins the big ones, and it'll be time he'll be starting to really win with regularity.
Cincinnati's not the greatest team, but they're hard to beat at home. Although Memphis is, blistered Cincinnati already here.
I know. So we'll have to see how that works. It will be, because a home court advantage is serious. It really is. It's a serious advantage. Like are we going to Houston to play them? Had we beaten Houston? I can't remember. Have we played them yet?
Twice.
Well, we kind of do in the conference. So, away and home. Can he stop everyone from checking out, so to speak, just not paying attention? That applies to Prince, certainly, but it applies to other players too. Some may already be thinking of transferring. The outside noise is getting louder with every loss. See, the same problems that were there in the beginning are still there now. This is what the coach said. When you're winning, obviously, you can hide those. When you're losing, they come out. And that's what it is. That's exactly right. Everything's predicated success on winning. Winning covers a multitude of things. And you can see how this happens, can't you? If you know your basketball, you understand some of the policies that go on behind the scenes. Absolutely.
I believe if Memphis wins against Cincinnati, they would be, I think, tied for third place. So they would move from the middle of the pack into the top three.
Right.
So
it's like that seventh game in tennis. You could be, when you play that game, it could be like 3-4, or it could be 5-2. What a big difference that makes to the mentality of the tennis players as well. Because all you need is one more game to win the set. But if you win that game, now you're back on serve usually, most of the time. But 4-3, that's doable. Especially, so you want to try to win that game, because that'll kind of put you in the catbird seat.
My goodness, they're 17-6. That's not a bad record. They
No,
still lose 4 more games and still possibly not even have to win the conference championship to get in the tournament.
But we're Memphis, remember that. But we have to have a lot of flash and show too, because when they're choosing, they want to look at what's going to bring people to the television so they can sell their product. Are they boring? Are they good? They look at that too, and then they consider, well, maybe San Diego State would be a better, because they're playing good this year. Next thing you know, you're dumped. and they bring someone else in who has a lot more flash and maybe the same number of wins, or could be below the same number of wins. Not the same number of wins, but below the the highest number. So I don't know.
Let's see. Okay, Memphis will play at Connecticut. East
Speak
Carolina
up now.
at
Bring
Memphis.
it in there. I gotta hear you better.
Okay, and then on the 22nd of February, Houston comes to Memphis. They're ranked 20th in the country.
Yeah.
Then they play SMU at Tulane, Wichita State, and Houston again on 3/8 on March 8th.
Yeah.
And that's at Houston. If they win, I think if they win one of those, beat Wichita State here, and then at Houston, or here, one of those Houston games.
Yeah.
I think
with this win tomorrow night or without?
With the win tomorrow night. They would beat Cincinnati,
That's tough.
the second place team, twice.
Yeah.
And then
you get beaten down too. See, that's gonna rear its ugly head when they get into, if it's close, the 40-point beatdown of Tulsa over Memphis. It's like we didn't even show up. We'd have been better off if we had forfeited the game than to have that on our resume. It's just terrible. 40 points? Are you kidding me? And it's hard to get that taste out of your mouth. I'm going to tell you right now.
And unfortunately, it seems that they only played Tulsa once this year. So that was just
down there. They might have
revenge match there.
Yeah, they might have gone in there thinking, we got this game. But, sometimes the ball falls no matter how you throw it up, right through the net. So the same problem that were there in the beginning are there now. They just gotta work through it. Come out with a lot more confidence. What I mentioned to Mel too is that the players are all worried about their own futures, and maybe they're subconsciously looking for someone else to blame. Like I said, it's gotten too overwhelming than just going out and playing a basketball game. You know what I mean? There's definitely some bad energy. Said the guard Boogie Ellis, who certainly gets points for his honesty. So they need to change that and turn it around. Actually, they should be separated from any sort of what's going on. They just need to play basketball and forget about all this other. But you won't. That's the downside of the social media.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mentioned this earlier in the show, but I'll bring it up for those who didn't hear. So none of this has to be, repairable. Look at John Calipari's second year as the Memphis coach. He brought in DeJuan Wagner, but missed the NCAA tournament. The miserables, that's what he called them. Wondered out loud if Calipari could do his job. See, they were already on him, in his second year. I think he goes one time and he gets taken out by Southwest Missouri in the NIT, and the next year he wins the NIT. So he kept moving in the right direction. Calipari kept bringing in the talent. I mentioned earlier, Darius Washington, who missed those 2 free throws over Louisville, and it would have changed the spin. He missed them. CDR, and eventually he got Derrick Rose, and of course that whole thing was canceled because of we can't win for what? We're trying. We go and we let a former Grizzly player who was in Kansas at the time knock down a shot that he should have never had the time to shoot, and he nailed it and put us in an overtime. Forget about it. In an overtime, when you're leading by 9 points with less than a minute to go and lose the game or take it into overtime, who can live with that? It was over. Then they had what was his name? Ed Hightower is one of the officials.
Oh, yeah.
And he was such an egomaniac. So it was a frustrating moment. I think, I can't remember, I think it was CDR who took the ball and just threw it, bounced it hard on the floor because of frustration. And he runs up to him like he's something. Let me tell you something. Next time you do that, I'll protect you. Leave him alone. He's a young man. He's an emotional guy. He just wants to, exhaust some of his frustration.
I mean, I know the fans are impatient, but it's going to take time. This man has only been a college coach.
It's not even talking about. That's not even worth talking about. But it comes up because there's nothing else to talk about. So they're dissecting, the problems, and and expanding on them. Like, oh my gosh, these guys have got that. What's that virus that's going around? Cordoba. Yeah, that's a virus too. But coronavirus.
It's the Georgia virus. It's killing all the Chinese people.
What's that got? It hits everybody. It may have started over there, but it's moved over. It's taken out everybody. Ridiculous. So it may seem early to ask these questions, and I do so only out of concern. The official attendance at Saturday's game was 17,214. That is entirely the work of Hardaway. He returned to the program when he didn't have to. He revived it, at a time when nobody else could. He has handled this season with grace and with patience. He has been given a season he did not deserve. Okay? So let us hope that, he proves up to the challenge, not as a coach, but as a basketball CEO. Can Hardaway keep the momentum going when things get difficult? Well, we'll just have to wait and find out. I agree, it's, of course he can. Of course he can. He'll be fine. If he doesn't, he'll just move on. He'll go back to working with the little kids because it meant a lot to him. That was that epiphany moment that he received when he was working with Meriwether over there. When he got sick, he asked Penny to help him out.
And he fell in love with the game.
He fell in love with the coaching. And the thing of it is, I was glad to do it. That's why it's hardest for these kids. But really, everybody needs to do something. Everybody needs to be busy. Everybody needs something. Try to find something you'll enjoy. And like you said, he fell in love with it. And we just need to be patient. I mean, he's a legend in this town, and he's a good guy. Reminds me of Sox. I mean, just guys that are just good before, during, and after their basketball career.
I guarantee you, if he was to get run off from the coach being coach here, I guarantee you there'd be a university out there somewhere that would pick him up and take their chances. I'm pretty sure.
That's if he wanted to. He could go play golf and not have all his problems. He's loaded.
Yeah.
Like you said, just on his shoes. I mean, he still has the second most popular Nike shoe.
Yeah.
And I hadn't seen a commercial yet since the old time when Rick was in Rock. Chris Rock was the voiceover for Little Penny. I mean, that was one of the best advertising campaigns. It did great. I think it did better than what's his name, New York, the little director with Michael Jordan back in the time. So anyway, yeah, it was cute. It was funny because you have the humility of Penny, so he needed an alter ego, and they used the little puppet kind of thing with Chris Rock's voice, and it was just absolutely captivating.
I found one. Here it is.
All right, can you play it through the?
Great coach, if I want to give interviews, I'll give interviews. You know what your problem is? You're too much. Hey, I give good quotes, and you can print that on the front page. Anthony Hardaway, best player in basketball, guarantees championship. Guaranteed. You can't say stuff like that. Let me just tell you, I'm an integral part of the Magic organization. Now, Penny is the team leader, but I'm the choreographer for the Magic Band. Get your job if you want.
Yeah, those were fun. Those were good, good marketing campaign. And that's why they're making the big bucks.
They should bring these things back. I think they should.
Yep, I agree with you. All right, we need to take a break. We hadn't been, we get to talking, we forget the time. You need an alarm on your board over there that says, "Oh, time to go," for a few minutes, and then we'll be back right after this sports call timeout. You're watching in the night. Along with me, we're waiting for the sunrise. Oh, feel cold. You want me, but when I feel like head the wall, you come and hold me. It's you and me, forever. You had to sing with. I wanted to bring it down an octave just me, but I couldn't stay on key. That's the way life works sometimes. If you feel like leaving, you know you can go.
Everyone agrees that February is the most romantic month, not just because of Valentine's Day, but because it's so cold. This is the month where we really have to share that body heat. And if you want romance, you simply can't beat 117 Prime, Memphis's premier downtown dining destination. Take your significant other out for the dinner of their life at 117 Prime, and romance will definitely be in the air. A great wine list, a huge selection of bourbons, perfect steaks, and of course, the best oyster bar in downtown Memphis. Take the one you love to 117 Prime, and you'll definitely be sharing body heat later.
Hi, I'm Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. Can anyone explain to me why anyone would care how I measure your roof? We have all heard about measuring your roof from outer space. Well, to be honest, there are aerial pictures that are taken every 4 years that can be used to measure a building, but it's not from outer space. Besides, no one, and I mean no one, can tell you what's wrong with your roof, or even if you need one, by using pictures that might be 4 years old. If you would rather do business with a family-owned and operated business with a lifelong tie to Memphis that refuses to mislead or use gimmicks, please give me a call. Best products, best warranties, and the best customer service we know how to provide. Fiveash Roofing, proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Memphis Tigers home team. Fiveash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
This Valentine's Day, show her just how much you love her. Say it with Central Barbecue. Say it with ribs. What are you doing? First thing you play on their heartstrings. Say it with ribs? Yeah, I think Central Barbecue should do like Valentine's stuff. Like a beeline brisket or cuddle me coleslaw. Did you just get these off of Candy Hearts? Yeah, I get my inspiration. Why not just do your job and tell people to go to Central Barbecue? That's what I'm doing, just with a romantic twist. No twisting! Just sell Central Barbecue. Hug me jalapeno nachos. Kiss me kielbasa. Just stop. Just tell them to go to Central Barbecue. You have no soul. When the days are short and cold, there's no better way to heat up than to swing by 3rd and Court, Memphis's great downtown diner. Chase away the chill with daily lunch specials like meatloaf on Monday or Salisbury steak on Thursday. Nothing beats all-day breakfast to warm your insides up. Come in for an old-fashioned diner milkshake with the extra added bonus of a full bar. A milkshake with booze will warm you up nicely. Sit and look out the panoramic windows at the gray winter outside and be happy that instead of being out there, you're inside 3rd and Court, the diner Memphis has been missing. Imagine for a moment the perfect food, just what you're craving, made hot, fresh, and fast. And you're imagining sunrise on Jefferson. Whether you're going to settle in for a nice leisurely breakfast or lunch, or you're going to swing by for the best takeout in Memphis, the ideal meal is always waiting for you at Sunrise. Maybe you're craving a perfect breakfast. That's at Sunrise. Or a delicious burger. That's at Sunrise, too. No matter what it is you're craving, I guarantee it's on the menu at Sunrise, just waiting for you to order it.
Hello, this is Penny Hardaway. When I'm home in Memphis, I listen to Sportscall with Bill Moore, where you don't have to play a sport to be a sport.
Come on in, girl. Hurry. Are we still on? Yeah. Oh, okay. Look off. Love break. All right, we're celebrating here on Sportscall. You don't have to play a sport. Our number 452-3094 get you into the show. If you do, you do. If you don't, you don't. We're still having fun. I don't care what they say about you. There we go. There was something I was looking at. You know, I may have mentioned this Monday or whatever it was, but I took the time to watch this ball game, and I'm glad I did. When John Morant had a triple-double in his win over the Wizards of Washington, I mean, this guy went off.
They got, what is it, the new guy, I'm still calling it, they got John.
Yeah, that's good. That's as good as any because he's just well, that's what I was trying to say about these coaches. They're just so strict in their execution that the players can't loosen up and play their game. They'd like to, but it's just jockeying for position, and these guys running out all that running. So no, we like to see the fluidity of talent. Release the ball, make a good pass, do those things that basketball is all about. And this is the way the rookie John Morant plays. He'll be Rookie of the Year in the NBA, and he should have more, but he will now going forward probably. That was his first triple-double, but he just can do it all. That's all. That's all, and that's what makes the Grizzlies what they are right now, along with their executive. I guess he's the head man there. We had Chris Wallace for so long. What a nerd. I mean, it's like they live in a status quo. You need to shake things up. Look at that. Make some real serious trades and things. And that's exactly what this young executive is doing.
I think the Grizzlies have the nucleus. It's just whenever everyone finds their rhythm, that will be hard to beat if they make the playoffs.
But they're playing well together.
Exactly. They find that rhythm.
Well, yeah, that's going to come with time. And when we pick up Justin Winslow, he was a good basketball player. I didn't watch him because I don't know what team he was on before. But we picked him up, and a couple of others, I think. But I hated to see Crowder leave. I liked him. He was mature, and sometimes that happens behind the scenes, maybe. But he seemed like a likable guy. He was a workhorse. He was one of those kind of Charles Oakley kind of players who just worked and hustled hard as he could and could shoot. For a big man, we want him down low and off glass, but I'm telling you, he can shoot the ball as well. So I was just glad to see that. People are going to start wanting to see. I didn't get a list, but isn't this the weekend of the All-Star break? I believe it is. So I hadn't seen a list of players that's going to be in there, but I guarantee you right now, Morant should be in there. He should be on the All-Star team for sure. And wouldn't that be a coup if he was? Like I said, I didn't see all the players, and there's nothing been in the news about him, or they'd be talking about him making the team. But he's like a surprise. If he continues, he'll definitely be on the team next year. But with the consistency of Mike Conley, he never made it. Zach made it, and Mark Gasol made it. But he was a good player. But we were also the Memphis Grizzlies too, and we weren't much thought of because of we're in a small market, but there's a lot of teams considered a small market. But when you win big. You become a big market in the minds of everybody else.
So I guess this year's All-Star game is going to be Team LeBron versus Team Gaines.
Yeah, it's going to be a good game. Yeah, he's going to be playing, that's for sure.
So,
I
guess...
man, I'm on a sports show.
Team LeBron starts...
What? You're talking to everybody out there. Again, this is my brother, he called me. All right, did you hear the one about... Oh, you are? You hear him?
Yeah.
Can you hear him? Yeah, you better be careful. You curse all the time anyway. Well, that's radio. We get a chance to not see you. All right. Yeah, everybody looks good on radio. Actually, we're up now running on YouTube, so I can see myself. I'm as big as a pyramid in the background, so. But handsome, what you talking about with us? I mean, I'm rolling now. Anyway, yeah. And you're on a different time zone. You're out in Papua New Guinea. Yeah, that's right.
That's a long way
Yeah. Papua New Guinea. All right, say goodbye to everybody. Oh yeah, I'll do that. I don't believe in chances, but I'll do my best. All right, my friend. See you later, Cliff. All right.
So, I guess the Team LeBron starters is going to be
nail him.
Anthony Davis of the Lakers.
You think? All right.
Luka Doncic.
Oh yeah.
Guard for
Good
the
player.
Mavericks.
Yeah.
James Harden, guard for the Rockets. LeBron James for Lakers. And Kawhi Leonard for Clippers.
Okay.
And the reserves are going to be Nikola Jokic.
That's all right.
Nuggets.
Yeah. Oh, he's good. Yeah.
Damian Lillard.
That's what I was thinking of. He's a, yeah. That's Damian Lillard.
Chris Paul, Oklahoma City.
Right.
Domantas Sabonis.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Pacers center.
Yeah.
Ben Simmons, guard for the 76ers. And Jason Tatum, forward for the Celtics. Russell Westbrook.
Wait a minute, hold on. Did you say the East?
No, that's Team LeBron.
Oh, Team. But how can?
Not
Wait a
East
minute.
and West this year.
Oh, it's not.
No, it's team Gaines.
I thought it was starting next year. Okay. All right. That's fine. I thought that's, wait a minute, those guys are in the East. All right, thanks for sharing that with everybody.
Now we have the Gaines. They're starting.
Okay.
Okay, we have Gaines.
It's all right. Everybody knows this.
Milwaukee Bucks.
Right. Everybody knows who he is.
Joel Embiid from the 76ers.
Yep.
Pascal Siakam
See them.
from the Raptors.
Turn them all over to the go global, and you can't pronounce them. They should change their names when they come to America. Listen, when those people, when you call someone from like cable or Google or something, you get a guy who sounds like that particular country's accent and everything, but they call themselves John. They call themselves Susan.
Especially if you call them like your local cable company.
That's what I'm saying. Wait a minute, you're not a John. Oh, you're a John. No, they just give them that name, but then after that they can't speak clear enough for me. So I want pure English.
We have guard Kemba Walker from the Celtics.
Yep.
Trae Young, guard from the Atlanta Hawks. And their reserves, Bam Adebayo, Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
Both of those are from the Heat. Rudy Gobert, center Utah Jazz. Brandon Ingram for Pelicans. Kyle Lowry, Raptors. Chris Middleton for Bucks. And Donovan Mitchell, guard Utah Jazz. So
Well, that game's over. That game is over.
No job to be found anywhere.
Yeah, LeBron gets up. See, he does that everywhere he goes. He gets the best players. Everybody wants to play with LeBron.
So basically what they've done here is they just
Divvied up
pick
and
their own team against each other in that draw start this year. That's crazy. Anthony Davis, Doncic, Harden, James, Leonard.
was it a draft or something? How did that work?
I don't know, man.
I need to find out.
Pickup or something.
Well, I know, but they didn't have. I mean, this is terrible.
There's no way in heck that, this team, Joel Embiid,
No, they're not going to win that game.
Walker, Young, Adebayo, Butler. There's no way on God's green earth that they can even beat.
No, they won't even have an audience. They'll have more for the pregame during the pregame week.
They should have
weekend.
stuck with the East and West.
Well, the East has been losing so badly because the
Go
better.
North and South. Something.
Yeah. Well, that's coming later anyway. It might not be with a basketball though.
Goodness.
We'll have a civil war for two. All right, just fun. All right, listen, that's about it for us today. I had a good time. I hope everybody else did. Y'all be careful out there in the rain because I'm gonna be on the road. So anyway, thank y'all for being a part of the show today, and I want to thank our sponsors. And so for for Georgia, for Shane, I'm Wild Bill. This is Sportscall, where you don't have to play a sport to be a sport.
You're so young already. And one thing I know is girl.
I don't know where that name came from. I have no idea where that came from. Let's say you spelled Georgia. Okay. He replaced Josh with Georgia.